Dear friends, good morning. This is Supriya Seth, Government Arts College Kota, recording an e-content lecture for the students of MA Previous University of Kota syllabus. Today we will be discussing the meaning of social change. To begin with, let us see what is social change. Social change is any kind of change in the lifestyle, pattern, dressing style, way of interaction, way of grouping with each other, or any kind of change which is visible in the social interactions, social institutions, etc. Let us see that there already exist a lot of formal definitions of social change in sociology, and it's very important to keep a track of the official definitions, formal definitions. So let's begin with the definition of McIver and Page. He defines social change as change in social relationships. It is a process responsive to many types of changes, to changes in man-made conditions of living, to changes in attitudes and beliefs of men, and to changes that go beyond human control to the biological and physical nature of things. So we can see that McIver and Page have talked about social relationships, and they have talked about changes in social interactions, um, and man-made conditions of living, attitudes, beliefs. These are the things he is trying to focus on while defining social change. Next definition is by Gillen and Gillen, who define social change as variations from the accepted mode of life, whether due to alteration in geographical conditions, cultural equipment, composition of the population, ideologies, and whether brought about by diffusion or inventions within the group. Now, this is a little wider definition where Gillen and Gillen say any kind of change in the accepted way of life is social change. So it can come from geographical conditions. For example, the way of life of people who are living at seashore would be much different from the way of life of people who are living in the mountainous regions. Similarly, the cultural equipment which they are using, that could be different. Then the population and its composition, what is the ratio of men is to women, whether more people are aged, more are young, etc. These the composition of the population, the mortality rate, the fertility rate, etc. These things can change. The ideology can change. The invention within the group some inventions can take place within the group, and some diffusion can also occur. People can learn from other cultures, and other cultures can also learn from these people's experiences. So these kind of events in social life do bring about changes in the accepted modes of life, way of living, in the accepted way of living in everyday life. So this is what Gillen and Gillen are saying is social change. The third definition is by H.M. Johnson. Social change is either change in the structure or quasi-structural aspects of a system of change in the relative importance of coexisting structural pattern. Now, Johnson has taken the structuralist line, and he says that there is a social structure, or and there could be quasi-structural aspects in society, and once these systems, the systems which are there in the structure of society, once these systems are changing, it could be called social change. Let's see what are the, out of these definitions, what do we gather? What are the characteristics of social change? The first characteristic of social change is that it is a universal process. Now, do you know what is universal? There are three dimensions in universal in universal processes. One is that space, another is time, and third is circumstances. Now, whatever be the space wherever you are in the world, you could be in any country, in any society, and you could be standing at any point of time, ancient, medieval, modern, postmodern. You could be standing at any point of time, and you could be in any kind of social situation. But social change, you will realize, is immanent. It is always taking place. Second characteristic is change in the community. Now they say that if one person undergoes a change, he changes his lifestyle. That is not social change. That would be mental mechanisms. That could be his understanding, his private understanding of reality. That could be his psychology, psyche. But for something to be called social change, it is important that the whole community should accept this as a new way of life. Most of the people in the community should change their lifestyle. Then only it could be called social change. The third characteristic of social change is that social change has various forms. That's true. Various forms, like it could be just increase in number, it could be not many people, but the qualitative changes could be taking place. It The mentalities of people could be changing. So it can take various forms. It could be evolution, it could be progress, it could be um, what do you call it? It could be revolution, it could be transformation, it could be growth. So these are various forms. It can come in many forms, um, but social change is everywhere. The fourth characteristic, as we can see, is social change has irregular and relative speed. Now, yes, that is true. In so many circumstances, what you uh, realize is that it's you cannot compare. You cannot say that if social change is a particular kind of social change is taking place in one society in a particular sequence, then it will take the same course in the other societies. It could be irregular. Somewhere it could be more, in some societies it could be less, in some societies it could be faster, and in some societies it could be slower, and in some societies it could be so slow that you might feel that there is no change. But that's not true. Uh, it could be irregular, it could have relative speed, but it is universal, it is everywhere, and it is taking place all the time. The fifth characteristic is more than one causes. That means social change is a very complex social phenomenon. It has various causes, and it is an effect of various players, various things. Many variables are acting upon the present social situation and are causing uh, negotiations which are leading to social change. uh, Now this if you can now what this point is trying to explain is that if you want to control social change, maybe because you want to plan the social change, then you cannot look at a single characteristic and say that this particular characteristic is responsible. And if you want to control and plan, then you have to look at various variables, various issues which are acting upon that. social situation and what kind of change is taking place. So it can have more than one causes. It's a very complex thing. You cannot easily understand it. And the last point is it cannot be predicted with surety. Social change, as you know, is a result of multiple human beings and their multiple varied understandings of particular social situations, and their multiple ways of acting upon it. So it's a very complex thing, and therefore you cannot predict where, which direction are we moving towards. So we are not sure. Maybe we are working towards change in a particular direction, but it does not take place. And there could be areas where we were not working for that social change, but the change occurs. So uh, you cannot like in physical sciences you can control an experiment. Like that, you cannot control the social change, the element, the occurrence of social change. Let's see the next slide. It says characteristics of social change by Wilbert E. Moore. They are the same as the last slide almost, but I'll quickly read them. First is that social change is always occurring more speedily during social reform. Second is it's faster in present than in past. Third is it pertains to all aspects of life, it is touching all aspects of life. Fourth is naturally occurring and medium speed of change has far reaching impact on our thoughts and social structure. Fifth is we can feel the change taking place but cannot measure it or make predictions. Sixth, qualitative, social change is qualitative rather than quantitative. And seventh, that um, social change needs to be controlled through planning. Now, what are the sources of social change? How social change comes about? First, discovery. Maybe some new thing is discovered which was never discovered by humanity. Second, invention. Maybe two discoveries can be combined and put together to bring about a new way of life. A very interesting example which comes to my mind is wheel has been discovered long back ago, and similarly suitcases have been invented long back ago, but the suitcases having wheels is a new invention, and it has an impact on the way we live. So there are we are our old discoveries can be combined, and new inventions can be created, which change have a great impact on our lifestyle. You know, the coolies have been rendered useless because of this change. So that way of life is impacted upon by an invention. So the third source of social change, which we can see in this slide, is diffusion, where I have invented something, I have discovered something, there is something in my area or some behavior pattern which we have inculcated, practiced and perfected in our area, and then we share it with other cultures, and they take it up from us. We have so many such examples, like mangoes were not found in India, they were brought by the Mughals. Some agricultural things like potatoes, lot of things, and then embroidery, and then patterns of embroidery, painting styles. A lot of things are exchanged and diffused. Diffusion takes place. People keep on learning from other cultures, new styles, and all. And finally, the fourth source of social change is internal differentiation. Within the society, people, a dissonance is created, and people split into two parts, and one has one opinion and the second has another opinion, and both of them start practicing different styles of living, and that brings about change in the society. That is, so internal differentiation is another source of social change. The next slide is on social versus cultural change. What is the difference between social change and cultural change? In social change, there is social change in social relationships, and in cultural change, you can see change in religion, knowledge, customs, law, etc. In social change, you can see the structures of society are changing, while in cultural change, you see various cultural aspects are undergoing change. Thirdly, in social change, you realize that it is a result of conscious and unconscious changes, efforts, while cultural change is a result of only conscious efforts. Then, lastly, social change is comparatively faster, it takes place at a faster rate, uh, while cultural change takes place at a slower rate. What could be the various forms of change? We have discussed it. Uh, Forms of change is a separate topic, so I will not explain it to you here, but I will just name them. Change can occur in various forms. First, change, growth, evolution, progress, social movements, revolution, development, transformation, change in structure, and change of structure. So that is the end. Today we have discussed the concept of social change. We did its definitions, we did its characteristics, and we tried to understand the forms of change. We tried to see what are the sources of change, and we tried to see how social change is different from cultural change. Thank you so much. Bye.